from Dynamic Leadership, speech number 2. Social media has become a part of the modern American daily life routine. As we all know, platforms such as Facebook have become a community where people come to connect and share. Jamie will provide research for you to decide whether social media is more on the side of helping or hurting our culture. Most importantly, Jamie will inform us on how it is shaping our youth and our world's future. Jamie's speech title is The Social Impact of Social Media, and her speech time is 5 to 7 minutes. Please help me welcome Jamie.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Social media is one of the greatest technological achievements of the 21st century that we have seen thus far. Whether you love it or hate it, use it or have never used it, you can't deny the power that these platforms have to connect people from all over the world instantly. Aside from socializing with friends and family, social media has become many people's news source. Barack Obama was the first president to use Facebook to reach his millennial voters, and Donald Trump was the first president to use Facebook to hurt his opponent, Hillary Clinton. Social media isn't just a silly pastime. It really has become a huge influencer in our world and a resource that people count on for a variety of reasons. To put some numbers to the influence of social media, today Facebook generates over $40 million in advertising. I'm sorry, I misquoted that. $40 billion in advertising, and is currently the third most trafficked website on the internet, behind Google and YouTube. So this website is clearly reaching a lot of people, so it certainly cannot be underestimated the power that it has on us and our culture, not just in our country, but all over the world. As of March 2019, there is 3.2 billion social media users, which is actually 42% of the worldwide population. Many of those not on, probably too young, too old, or don't even have access to the internet. Facebook is the market leader. 68% of US adults are Facebook users, with 2.32 billion active users total. Second to Facebook is Instagram. And Instagram is the second market leader with 1 billion monthly active and 500 million daily active. 70% of those are under 35. So looking at all this data, what is the social impact of social media? I think for everybody it's different. In your personal lives, you know how it affects you, but I think that really the greatest social impacts on our world as a whole will be seen decades from now. So the good is that people actually are connecting, which is amazing. They're finding old friends and family. They're staying in touch with people they wouldn't have otherwise because they've moved away and they had no way to see them or feel connected. GoFundMe is one of probably the best do-gooder services that has been catapulted into the limelight through Facebook. If you're not familiar with GoFundMe, it's basically a website that has social campaigns where people can post to raise money for people who've been victims of terrible accidents or illnesses. From 2010 to 2017, $5 billion has been raised through GoFundMe for 50 million donors, and that has been a total of 2 million individual campaigns. So this could be anywhere from get my dog surgery to save my child who's dying of leukemia. So it really has done some good. Unfortunately, as many people have been helped, there have been a lot of people who've been hurt. And that's actually sort of what gave me the idea for this speech. A few weeks ago, we had the recent shooting at a San Diego synagogue, and that was actually by a white supremacist with a live Facebook group. The whole Facebook group was a group of basically white supremacists and evil people who existed online all over the world who all had a racist agenda. And this page promised a live stream of the shooting, and the page was filled with hateful propaganda and people basically egging on the shooter to go through with the act. So, of course, Facebook is also a platform that can encourage people. It's definitely a herd mentality type of website where people can be influenced to do good or to do harm. Diane Sawyer just also had a special on screen time as a whole, talking, of course, about social media quite a bit. She said 49 days on average is how long Americans are spending on their phones, equivalent of 49 days per year. So her report was pretty good, but I didn't feel like it completely dug as deep as it should have. A lot of the most interesting data that she gave was the hidden psychological tolls of how, especially Instagram, is affecting our youth. The need for sharing everything through their iPhones and posting pictures on Instagram and Facebook and needing likes and comments as basically social validation. Honestly, I think it's an epidemic. The young people that she interviewed said that they have to take 30 to 40 pictures to get one good one, and they spend close to an hour editing, and then they post the picture, and if it doesn't have enough likes and comments, they're embarrassed and they delete it. So, as a somewhat old millennial, I find this really sad to see, the younger. I'm glad that I'm just there, that I kind of missed where people in their teens and 20s are today, because that would have been miserable to grow up in. A recent study published by NPR actually found that young adults and teenagers are more depressed than ever. They looked at survey responses from more than 200,000 adolescents ages 12 to 17 and almost 400,000 young adults ages 18 to 24. And pretty much both groups were, the depression rates were up 50% in the last decade, which is really high. So they looked at things like stress, anxiety, peer pressure, just a variety of symptoms that teenagers and young adults should not be feeling on a daily, but because of social media and the pressure to keep up and feel pretty enough and rich enough and successful enough it's really at its peak right now. I hope it doesn't get worse. The other really interesting thing that I watched, if this is something that interests you, is there is a Netflix documentary right now called Social Animals, and it basically follows some Instagram celebrities and to sort of see who they are, how they got to where they're at. There's a young man who grew his following a few 100,000 people now, who climbs New York City bridges and takes pictures from the top. And he's managed to make quite a career for himself. That was a little more inspiring than the young woman who has 500,000 followers, pretty much just promoting the life of rich and beautiful from her elaborately huge mansion in California. She's the kind of girl that girls everywhere are following and trying to be like and comparing themselves to. When it comes to pretty much, I feel like social media, that really is what it comes down to is comparison. And so that brings me to the quote, comparison is the thievery of joy. Does that mean that social media is the thievery of joy for many? And I think that the answer to that is yes, especially for young people, but even for adults. It's really for anyone trying to just have their own identity and basically be their best self. So all of this research, I feel like I could have gone on forever with some of the interesting data I found, but no matter what, social media is a great way to connect, but hopefully it is not hurting our future generations and shaping our world for the worse. Thank you.